Good morning, and thank you everyone for coming to our session on how to power up your Einstein Analytics using formulas, functions, and connected data sources. My name is Saurabh, and I work as a senior technical consultant at Groundswell Cloud Solutions. How many of you have used Einstein Analytics before? Oh, nice. And how many of you used SAQL before? Oh, that's a great number. So the aim of this session is to show you some of the declarative tools that you can use in Einstein Analytics and how you can use them to deliver some of the very complex business requirements. Before I jump into the details, let me introduce you to the safe harbor statement. So I might make some forward-looking statements today. Please make all your buying and purchasing decisions based on existing products and functionalities only. Let me give you a quick overview of who we are. We, Groundswell Cloud Solution, are Salesforce partners with our expertise in analytics and communities cloud. We have been in the Salesforce ecosystem for over 6 years now, and I personally have been working for Groundswell Cloud Solution for more than 3 years. And in these 3 years, I've seen the company grow from 4 to 40, and we have moved 3 offices. From project side of things, we have done some of the biggest delivered some of the biggest solutions on the platform today. So today's agenda will be, I'll do a quick overview of Einstein Analytics. We'll jump on to SAQL, what are its superpowers, what are its complexities, and then we'll talk about some of the declarative tools that you can use today, like compare tables, formula functions, and we'll do a quick demo about them. And moving on to connected data sources, and to wrap up things, we'll do a quick recap on what we have learned today. So as you all know, that Einstein Analytics is Salesforce's business intelligence tool. It has some of the greatest features. First of all, it's native, which means you can use it within your Salesforce. You can put it in your page layouts. You can use it in your Visualforce pages, your Lightning components, your communities, everywhere. Next thing is it's intelligent. With Einstein Discovery, now you can get some very smart insights, and then you can take actions on them. It's fast. That means it's really good with a huge amount of data. You can run a query that's running on 50 million rows, 100 million rows in the background, and you can run that complex query within seconds. And the best thing that I love is mobile. So you can take your dashboards, your lenses, wherever you go. You can even install the app on your Apple Watch so you can see your dashboards, the numbers that really matter on your watch. That's all good. So it has great features and everything, but how does it really work? Like, how do you make it work? How do you bring your data in? So Einstein Analytics lets you integrate data from a lot of different platforms. Once the data is in there, it becomes a data set. And then you can utilize those data sets to create amazing dashboards, lenses, and then you can share those lenses, dashboards with your colleagues. That's amazing, but how do I build these dashboards again? So there are 2 different ways you can do that. One is using declarative tools. You can use just basic grouping, filtering. You can use some formulas, functions. The other way you can do it through SAQL. And people who have used it in the past, you might know that in the past, if you were asked to do anything beyond basic groupings, basic filtering, you would have to use SAQL. But that has changed now, and I'll talk about it in my future slides, how it has changed. So coming back to SAQL, to people who don't know what it is, it's Salesforce's analytics query language. It's really powerful. You can do almost anything and everything using SAQL. You can build some very basic dashboards to some very advanced dashboard using SAQL. SAQL is also, it's based on Big Latin programming language. It is influenced by it, so it does have a learning curve. However, once you know your way around it, it has endless possibilities. Let's jump into what are its superpowers and what are its complexities. So talking about superpower, as I just said, it is really powerful. You can do almost anything and everything using SAQL. You can do some complex multi-dataset joins. So if you have data coming from different sources, you have data coming from 10 different data sets, you can use that and make it one lens using joins, using unions, and things like that. You can use selection bindings and result bindings, which means you can do cross-dataset filtering using SAQL. From complexity side of things, it does have a learning curve. But as I said before, once you know your way around it, it has endless possibilities. The other complexity is troubleshooting. So if you have a very complex query, which has 100, 200, 300 line of code, it will be a little complex to go and figure out which line is exactly causing the slowness. And the next thing that I believe is a complexity is explore with limitation. So if you have a dashboard that has a lens that's working on SAQL, once you explore it, you can't add filters, measure, groupings to it. However, if you just create a lens using declarative tools, you can do all those things. Great, so now we know basic Einstein Analytics, what it is, what's SAQL, what are its superpowers, what are its complexities. Let's see if we can power up our analytics without using SAQL. Let me introduce you to the declarative tool called compare table. How many of you have used compare table before? Oh, wow, that's great. Cool. So, and people who have used it before might know that when compare table were first introduced, they were really limited in functionality. But this has changed a lot. And I would like to give a big shout out to the analytics team who have done such a great job in redefining compare tables and giving back the power into the hands of the administrators. Using compare tables, now you can add multiple measures, same measures on the lens, and then you can apply different filters to it. Or you can have different measures and apply different measures, different filters to it. I'll do a quick demo to show what exactly I'm talking about here. But the idea is, using compare tables, you can do a lot of things. You can apply formulas, you can apply functions, you can hide and show columns as you require. Talking about analytics formulas, the idea behind using analytics formulas is use your existing measures and then derive a third, fourth, fifth measure out of it. And formulas that you can use are just math operations, some SAQL methods if you know them, or some if-else statements, in this case, case when then. Similarly, analytics functions. Analytics function has the same approach, where you can take existing measures and then you can derive new measures out of it. And then, in this case, you can use the great SAQL windowing function by just point and click. So you can use sliding window, you can use percentage of group, rank within group, running totals by just point and click. And the best thing I like about it is, so this is a screenshot of how the functions look like. So you can click on this functions tab here, and then you can select what function you want to use. But the best thing about it is, once you have decided what function you want to use, you can switch back to the formula tab, and it gives you the SAQL behind it. So I love SAQL, I love writing SAQL, but windowing functions is something that I find the syntax is complex. So this is really helpful for me to go back and learn how these functions can be written if I just want to write SAQL. Cool, so now we know what are compare tables, what are functions, what are formulas. Let's see how we can use them in real world scenario. So let's take an example of Jane Doe. So Jane Doe is an owner of a very big retail chain that have retail stores all over the country. She provided us with two different data sets. Let's quickly take a look at them. So she provided us with two different data sets that are retail and return. Let me just zoom in. And retail data set has all the lines denotes the purchase that were made out of the retail stores. And the return data set denotes all the items that were returned to the retail store. So Jane Doe comes to you and she's like, oh, using this data set, can you tell me how my company is doing all around the world? And how it's doing this month versus last month? And can you show me the percentage change between these 2 months? So as soon as you hear percentage change, you'll be like, oh, I can do it quickly using SAQL, right? But in this case, we'll try to do it by using compare tables and without using SAQL. So I'm just going into the retail data set now. And at the top, it shows measure. By default, it says count of rows. But we want the total amount. So she's interested in see how the company is doing overall for this month. So we do sum of amount, and she only cares about this month for now. So we go filter, add filter, and I'm adding the filter on invoice date, months, and move it to current month. So this data is now for current month. But she also wants to see how we did last month. So let's see if we can add another measure here. Oh wait, we can't add sum of amount again. So you might have noticed that there are 3 different modes now. One is chart mode, one is table mode. So if you move to table mode and use compare tables, and you will be able to use the sum of amount here. So using compare tables, as I said, you can add the same measure multiple times, and you can apply different filters to it. So in this case, she wants to filter it by last month. So I'm adding the filter on invoice date again, relative to now, months, and making it to last month. Cool. Here you go. So you have now sum of amount for this month, last month, and the last thing she asked us is percentage change. So to do that, what we need to do is create a placeholder column. That's what I say. So you go here, click on adding a new measure. So as a placeholder, you can just create a count of rows, and then you can click on this tiny arrow here and then say edit this column. As soon as you do that, you'll get an option to add a formula on your extreme right. So here, what we want to do, we just want to add a formula to get the percentage change. So this is my formula, and the best thing about it is you can just add the format you want it in. So in this case, we want it in percentage format. So I just change the format here and apply. And here you go. Here's the result. Right? So we didn't write any SAQL, we didn't do anything special, we just did few point and clicks, and you have the results here. And the best thing is you can change the name of the columns and apply. So it just changed here. You can also change the other columns and update it. Isn't that amazing? So we didn't write any SAQL in the background, we just did some clicks, and we have the results. So now Jane Doe is really happy with you. She's like, awesome, that's what I wanted to know. She's like, can you show me how the countries are doing? Which were their best months? Which were their worst months? How much amount they made in their worst and best months? I'm like, sure, we can do that. So I've created this lens here. In this lens, you'll see I'm doing the same thing, sum of amount, and I'm grouping it by country and invoice date. So she wants to see what were their best months and what were their worst months. And now, she wants to see the best months at the top and the worst at the bottom. So let's see if we can do it by just sorting it in descending order. Oh, wait, no, we can't do it in chart mode. So what it does is it just sorts it by the total amount. That's not what we want. So going back to our amazing compare tables here, and let's see if we can do it in compare tables. So I go to sum of amount now, and magically the sort within groups shows up. So if I do that, Australia stays at the top. That's what I wanted. And now I can see what were Australia's best months, what were Australia's worst months. Isn't that amazing? So she is really happy with you now. You just did like point and clicks. In 2 minutes, you gave her what she wanted. So now she comes back to you, and she's like, oh, wow, this is amazing. But again, this is just a wall of text. Can you tell me, like just for Australia, I just want to see which months contributes how much towards the total for them. I'm like, sure, we can do that. So she wants just for Australia. So what I do, the first thing is click on this arrow and add a filter for country. And I want to filter it by Australia, as she wanted. And now she wants to see which month is contributing what percentage towards the total. So first of all, I want to see the total. I'm not too sure if you guys know, but you can click on this tiny arrow at the extreme right, and it lets you show the summary. So now you have the total at the top, and you have the normal numbers at the bottom. So to get the percentage that each month is contributing towards the total of Australia, what we need to do is we need to add again a placeholder measure. So I go here, add the count of rows again, and then I edit this column. And to achieve this, we will now use functions. So I can click on this drop down here and then say I want percentage of group. And my source column here would be the sum of amount. And the format I want is a percentage. And I say apply. And here we go. And we can again update the column name as we require. So here we go. We didn't write any SAQL again. And we are using the amazing windowing functions that were available through SAQL only by just point and click. Isn't that amazing? So she's like, oh, wow, that's awesome. And you know what? I don't want the sum of amount. Can you just get rid of it? I'm like, sure, why not? So what we do, we go here, click on this tiny arrow, and say hide. And then it just goes away. Again, she wants, okay, this is still wall of text. I don't know, I can't see visually which month was really high, which month was really low. Can you make it a more visual? I'm like, sure. What you can do now with compare tables is if I click on this arrow again, you have an option to show as bars. Here you go. So by just one click, you get it in bars format, and now you can see which were the best months and worst months. That's fine, but now you'll think, can I just use it in my dashboard or no? Or do I just need to show it in form of table? You can show it in your dashboard. So as you would do with any other lens, all you need to do is clip to designer. And as soon as you clip to designer, it'll open up a new dashboard for you. You can drag a chart from your top left, and then you can move your step into it. And here you go, you have the results. You can change the chart as you like with any other lens and make it work. Cool, so that was amazing. So we did some very amazing things by just using compare tables. Let's see what connected data sources are. Oops. All right, so connected data sources, the problem that connected data sources is trying to solve is, you know how when you have some widgets you want to filter by your selection on the other widgets. So in this case, what you would do in the background is somehow write some SAQL. And if you want those widgets to filter based on the other widgets, and both these widgets are running on the same data set, you can use out-of-the-box faceting, right? So in this case, you didn't need to do anything special. Just check the facet button there, and it works. However, if these widgets are working on two different data sets, you would have to use SAQL binding in the background. So connected data sources, what they're trying to do is they're trying to help you do the cross dataset binding without using SAQL. So let me take a quick example to show you how it really works. So taking the same example of Jane Doe again, she comes back to you. She's like, I have this amazing dashboard, and it has two different data sets. It has widgets that are running on two different data sets. So the widgets on the left are running on the data set retail. The widgets on the right are running on the data set return. So what she wants to do is, if this filter that's running on retail data set, if you click on this, right now it's only filters the widget that's running on retail data set. She wants it to filter the widget that's running on the return data set as well. So in this case, what we can do is we can use connected data sources. And how do you do that? All you need to do is edit, and then click on these three dots on the extreme right, and connect data sources. So what you're doing here is you're literally creating a connection between two data sets, between few fields of two data sets. So in the background, now they're connected, and if you do anything in your front end, the things will change dynamically. So let me create a quick connection here for country from return data set and country from retail data set. And we have the connection here. And I will create another connection for invoice date from return data set and retail data set. So now we have these two connections, and let's go back to our dashboard and see if the filtering works magically. So this is the widget that's running on retail data set. And if I select some country here, it magically filters down the return data set widgets. Isn't that awesome? Again, we didn't write any bindings, we didn't do anything special, just point and clicks, and we have the results. Let's see if we can do the same thing with the date filter we have on the top here. So I'm selecting current month, updating it, and here we go. So both the widgets are now filtering dynamically without doing anything special. Awesome. So now we know what connected data sets are and how they work. So compare tables, connected data sources, functions, formula, these are great declarative tools you can use in Salesforce. However, they're not there to replace SAQL. You might still need to use SAQL in some certain scenarios where you have very complex business requirements. So let's quickly do a recap of what we have learned today. We just did a quick overview of Einstein Analytics, what SAQL is, what are its superpowers, what are its complexities, and then we learned about some of the declarative tools that you can use in Salesforce today. These are the Trailhead modules that I used myself when I was going through compare tables, learning about connected data sources, what they are, how they work. And I would encourage you to go take a look at them. They're really helpful. And if you have any further questions, you can ask me. Thank you.